Hello, my name is Cale Angeloni and I'm the Project Manager on the Sydney Metro Northwest project. Here at KCG Constructions, we have decided to shift our focus on a particular area of the project, with that area being the tunnelling aspect. Also, through many class discussions, we have thought of 3 tunnelling-based scenarios that would directly affect various stakeholders in the project. Through discussion and presentation of evidence from all stakeholders, as the project manager, I can then make an informed decision as to the solution path taken to combat these scenarios. The scenarios are as followed. Scenario A is a change in the soil condition after the drilling is commenced. Scenario B, the demolishing of over 100 existing properties on the sites. Scenario C is the cost blowout occurring midway point of tunnelling commencement. The KCG Constructions team is made up of the following personnel: a project manager, facilities manager, OH&S officer, project coordinator, construction plant manager, head engineer, geotech engineer, PR consultant, site manager, project planner, environmental engineer, quantity surveyor, and contracts admin.
So as the project manager in our construction of the tunnel, we've had 3 scenarios. Now this is scenario A. Scenario A involves the change in strata as we're tunnelling halfway through the project. So for scenario A, how are we going to go about this from the risk management side of it?
Well, as a health safety manager, any change in soil conditions means I have to do a risk analysis, obviously look at any new hazards and develop a new matrix. From here, the other things I need to consider also is any new plant and machinery, changes to swims, and yeah.
Sounds good. So as the plant manager, how are we going to go about this scenario?
As a plant manager, I'm going to carry out the installation of vent cleaner and spraying shotcrete on the soil surface. So as to provide temporary support, so I will select and arrange the required machines for this operation, like wet mix concrete machines, like the OTME machines, concrete pumps, truck mixers, and mobile work platforms.
Sounds good. So as the facilities manager, how are we going to go about doing scenario A?
As a facilities manager, I need to focus on the space management, so I need to provide a healthy and convenient environment for those workers. Specifically, I need to do a proper site layout to make sure that all space and service are efficiently arranged so workers can deal with emergency situations in time. Besides this, I need to
Sounds good. So as the geotech engineer, how are we going to go about scenario A?
So for scenario A, a hybrid TBM is introduced to deal with hard rocks and soft ground condition, including the EPB mode plus the survey mode to deal with most of the soil condition. In order to increase the TBM efficiency, we inject bentonite and in addition with ground conditioning foams and polymers to smoothen the soil before cutting through it.
Sounds good. So as the site manager, how are we going to go about scenario A?
My role in scenario A arises would be to correctly mitigate the setback by correctly managing my teams and maintaining a high communication pathway throughout all trades of both on-site and site in-office personnel.
Yep.
I'll be managing rectification trades correctly and assertively informing all relative parties.
Okay. So as the environmental engineer, how are we going to go about scenario A?
In scenario A, as the environmental engineer, I would need to assess the change in soil density and determine appropriate support solutions in order to successfully secure the soil. This will effectively transfer the vertical loads to the deeper and more stable soils.
So as the project coordinator, how are we going to go about scenario A?
By using linear responsibility matrix and equipment register, I can appropriately reallocate the information, resource and equipment to the correct people in accordance to the project planner's timeline. This will help me carry out the appropriate works needed to rectify the soil conditions that we come across in the tunnelling process of this project.
Head engineer, how are we going to go about doing scenario 1?
As head engineer, it is my job to ensure the project runs as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. Through utilising a sub-team of engineers, we have assessed all critical components components of the project, and we have changed such elements as equipment and the contingency fund by increasing them, which also decreases the amount of cost on the project.
Good. So for scenario B, which was that we had to acquire over 100 properties in the prior to doing our project, I've got here the QS, the project planner, and the PR manager. How are we going to go about fixing this?
Well, initially we were prepared for the negative backlash of demolishing over 100 existing properties in the area for the site. So we developed a multi-million-dollar advertising campaign focusing on the benefits of the completed rail network for the local community. And as well as this, we had a few teams of graphic designers developing living images of the stations and parklands surrounding the new site.
Perfect. And from the project planning side?
So basically, the project planner would have to set out the start date, duration, and end date for the estimated delivery of the demolition of 100 said properties. Preliminary activities that would have to be scheduled include the acquisition of land, which is a 2-year period, approvals process, which was a 1.5 years, and finally the site establishment, which was a 6-month period. This would involve the sequencing and scheduling of turning off existing services, the demolition and levelling of properties, and the removal of waste and recyclable material. Furthermore, the project planner would have to coordinate an effective means of transporting goods from the demo areas through a traffic management plan, and the pre-demo installation of hoarding to ensure the safety of pedestrians and members of the public.
And what about from a QS point of view?
So, as a quality surveyor, I have the responsibility to control the cost of everything within the budget of the client. Before demolition, we have an estimated land value of approximately $400 million. After this, demolition works can be done by either the main contractor or the individual demolish contractor. However, demolish is a dangerous works. It requires the contractor to have a relevant license. I'll be doing the tendering of the demolition, invite tender and tender alliances to choose the perfect tender for this kind of dangerous demolish work.
Perfect, thanks guys. So as the PM on this project, we've discovered 3 scenarios that may occur. This is scenario C. Scenario C is that we've incurred a cost blowout during the midway point of our tunnelling construction. For our scenario C, which was our cost overruns during tunnelling, I've got here the project coordinator, site manager. So how are we going to overturn these issues?
Well, due to the live nature of a construction site, the labour, material and conditions are ever changing. As a project coordinator, it's my role to allocate the correct resources, information and equipment to the work specified by our own project planner. When a cost overrun was to occur, I need to reallocate these to try and correct the project and get it back to its budget.
I'll be responsible for the on-site allocation of resources, labour and equipment to appropriately mitigate the cost blowout. I'll also be required to appropriately manage all site personnel in order to return the project to budget as soon as possible. I'll be needing to facilitate site meetings to identify issues of cost blowouts, including material wastage, labour efficiency, and as noted by the studies. These meetings will allow our site personnel to appropriately report and reflect on the present issue and how we're going to rectify them.
So for scenario C, how are we going to fix this in our office site?
Well, my duty is check whether the related